It's tabletop time. I'm Dave, and in today's video, we're going to be returning to the Sakura Tau. That's right, I'm making a massive and awesome mech, and it wouldn't be possible without the brand new 3D printers that we've been sent by Haygears. This is the Haygears Ultracraft Reflex, and we are going to be showing you this brand new printer throughout this video, and it's really exciting. But before we can revisit the Sakura and get printing, I need a model, and I have exactly the model in mind that I want to join my Sakura set.
So the Tau Storm Surge is one of the few models in the range that I've never liked. And an amazing creator, Piper from Piper Makes over on Patreon, created a model called the Narwhal that I've wanted for years. Piper was nice enough to send us that model, as well as all the cool exclusive accessories such as the SFX missiles and weapons for me to print and paint in this video.
So while I get my perfect mech model all ready, Murray is actually downstairs setting up the printer. So let's see how he went.
With Murray working on the setup of the printer, I could focus on the software. Haygears have an online hosted slicing software called Blueprint. Blueprint is completely integrated with your printer, allowing you to remotely check the status of your printer, temperature, any errors, or perhaps the resin level of the printer, as well as allowing you to remotely load up and start prints, which is super convenient. So I set up the first slices for this model, and if Murray's finished, I can go and start the first print.
Right, now that the first slice of the model is put together and sent off to the printer, all that's left for me is to wait for the Ultracraft Reflex to do its magic.
So the last prints are done, and I can finally assemble this beast, which is really exciting. I've got two here that need to be cleaned, and I wanted to show you this really nifty Haygears cleaning system. I've got it on a different table because, as you're about to see, it makes a bit of ruckus, and we don't want to bump the 3D print. So let's go check it out. The way this works is there's two little buckets, and you just put your prints in isopropyl alcohol in the buckets, and you put the lid on. Check this out. Whee! I don't know why, to me this is just ridiculously entertaining. It's just the jiggly. Jiggling complete! And it gives you a nice little tune. So, rather than popping this off and fishing out 3D prints, this is the really cool bit that I like. Bucket, bucket. And you just turn this, and all the ISO drains into the second bucket, which is really good because it means you're not fishing around in isopropyl alcohol full of resin, and you can easily clean these buckets, which is really cool. And at the end of all that, I have my clean bits, which is good. Awesome. Let's go make a Tau battle suit. Hiya!
So as with all resin 3D prints, one of the first things you need to do after getting them off the print bed is remove all the supports. So I gave these a hot water bath, which just helps keep the resin nice and flexible, and it allows you to peel these supports off pretty easily.
All right, so now all we have to do is do a post-cure of the resin, and Haygears have that covered with their curing machine. So we just pop the door open, and easy as that, chuck in our bits. Good to go. So you might have noticed our printer looks pretty fancy. That's because it is the brand new Haygears Ultracraft Reflex. The Ultracraft Reflex brings professional simplicity, ease of use, and style to the home printer workbench. With high precision hardware and image algorithms, the Reflex produces extremely accurate prints with a stable and consistent production quality. From the very start of this process, Haygears has you covered, with their own set of 3D printing tools that automate the whole process, from pre-processing to production and then post-processing. The machine can detect humidity, temperature, and resin levels. Some features that I personally fell in love with were the resin feeding and also the auto leveling process. For the resin feeding, all you need to do is just stick the bottle in the top of the printer and it takes care of it from there. While when it comes to leveling, I don't even know what that is. The machine handles it all for you, dealing with leveling and zeroing so you don't have to do that between each print. And I have genuinely never had an easier time removing prints from the print bed than I have with the Haygears Ultracraft Reflex. With Haygears professional grade resin and dual wavelength UV curing process, you can expect commercial grade results with every print. Not only is this 3D printer brand new, but also the curing station and the wash station. So with that said, please make sure to go and check out the Haygears Ultracraft Reflex if you're interested in 3D printing, or if you're ready to experience a more professional 3D printing process at the home hobby level. But for now, it's time for me to get back to the video and start painting up this creation.
So Piper's model, the Narwhal, is actually shipped on a 185mm round base, which isn't the base a Storm Surge goes on. And of course, this will be a Storm Surge proxy. So I've brought the appropriate sized base. This is actually not quite a Games Workshop base, but it's quite similar. It's almost the same size. It's like 2mm more narrow, so I'm gonna have to fix that. But this is gonna be an interesting challenge to mount this bigger model with a large footprint on a smaller base. So I'm probably gonna make some rocks protrude and build out the base and just do something interesting with it. Let's...
Now, this model comes in a lot of pieces with a lot of options, and one thing it's really well kitted out for is actual magnet slots. However, we don't have a lot of the magnet sizes that this kit is slotted for, and I have no desire to change almost all of the components on this. So I'm going to be gluing a lot of things in place that you can magnetize on the kit, and that's just a personal choice. The only thing I'm going to leave magnetizable is the gun, so I can rotate it because I think that's really cool, and also the gun at the front of the model so you can swap out the weapon options. As I was assembling the multi-part legs of this walker, I did realize I was going to need to build this from the ground up. It's not a usual approach I would make for modeling, but we have these gorgeous articulatable legs. I may as well use them right. So I'm going to grab a base, and I think I'm going to build up a scenic base before I assemble the model.
All right, so we're gonna try and do some spray painting here. I realized I have Vallejo gray and white, so I may as well just give it a shot. See how close I can get to my zenithaling on my armor just with spray paints, because if I can do that with 3 rattles, that's going to save so much time on my Sakura army. And then I just line highlight. I'll have to be very careful with the white application. I have a feeling I'm going to need to airbrush Stonewall Grey.
Taking that 175mm flying base, I grabbed some large chunks of cork that I could use as rocks. We also have these resin rocks from Gamer's Grass that I glued all over the base, so we had a nice mix of large and small. I wanted to deliberately create an awkward piece of terrain, as I have a 4-legged walker, and a really cool way to pose and showcase that would be to have all the legs standing on different elevations walking through this terrain. With the rocks glued into place, I came in with some Vallejo modeling compound. This is some earth texture, and I filled out the rest of the base, hiding the seams on the Gamer's Grass resin bases and allowing them to seamlessly become part of the environment, as well as helping to blend the cork into place. With all these done, I could actually glue the feet in place, and I found some interesting ways to pose the toes gripping onto the environment. And as I awkwardly struggled with positioning these pieces, I decided to come to the final conclusion that I was going to have one of the legs actually lifted off the ground as if the walker is mid-step. Totally not a response to kind of making a base that I'd made it really difficult for me to put these feet. It's fine. It'll look cool. So painting my
After
Sakura
spraying the
is a
base with
nice
some
Battlefield
foundational
standard
colors,
paint
I
job.
wanted
start
the
with
rocks
using
to be a lot
Vallejo's
darker,
cold
so I got a
grey
charcoal
and
grey and
Stonewall
very
grey
roughly
to create
painted
a
this
blend
patchily
from the
across
darker
all of
colour
the
up
cork.
to the
I
lighter
deliberately
colour.
left
This
those
covers
spray paint
all of
colors
the
and
armor
some of the
panels
cork
on
color
what
in
I
there
call
because
the
I want some really
external
natural
plate.
color
To
variation
finish
on
this
these
part off,
rocks.
we just do a
To
little
do
line
a similar
highlight
thing
with
to the
mix of
ground, I
Stonewall
just got
and
some
white,
dark
and this
brown and
really makes
stippled that
everything
all
pop.
over the
Sit
base,
it
just
outside.
creating more and more areas of variation and different color saturations. For the rocks, I used Vallejo's Somber Grey
Murray's
and
here.
Wolf
I'm
Grey
here.
to dry brush
Thanks,
up
Murray.
and get
So
a
at
nice
about
blue
this
stone
point,
look
I
on
actually
these
got
rocks.
Murray and
then
Jen's
after a
help,
quick
and we all
dry
as a
brush
team
of
had sat
Vallejo
down
Earth on
and
all of the
painted
ground, I got
this
some
model.
Mod
And
Podge
honestly,
and
it was a
sponged all
highlight.
over
It's
the
been
base,
too long since
leaving
we've
a
all
little
sat
gap
down
for a
and just
mountain path.
jammed
I thought
hobby
that would
together.
look
It was
pretty
great.
Now, I will say, for some reason, we copped flack
what
once
you did
for
there. There was a
calling
lot
it
of legs on
Mod
this model.
Podge.
All of the mechanical
we're
parts
we're
of this
Aussies,
model
we
are
should call it
painted
PVA
black
glue.
with
No,
a
this is
grey
actually Mod
highlight,
Podge. It
and
says
then
it on
we
the
have these
bottle.
nice
It's
accent
literally
colours.
a bottle
This is
of
for
Mod
all
Podge.
the
So,
sort of
for that
Tau
one commenter,
gyros
if that was
and
you
cogs
and
that
you
they
still
have
watch
all
our
over their
videos, I
machines.
just want you to know, relax, buddy. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. That aside, we've got some Mod Podge all over this base.
And we're going to flock it. So that means
They're
some grass
important,
flocks, a bit of
right?
static
There's
grass, a bit of green,
I
tuft
don't
from
know.
woodland scenics, and just a light.
So we paint them up
salt-based
using
sprinkle over
some
this
nice
whole thing.
red
With all of
metallics
this
from scale
delicately applied,
75
I
with
put
a
that aside
little
to
pink
dry.
metallic
We're going to come
highlight
back
on the
to
top,
this with
rather
laser cut
one.
plants and
with the
tufts,
metallic and
but
the
for
white
now,
done, I
let's
can
let
then
that set,
come in
and
do
we
a
will
pin
move on
wash.
to
We couldn't
painting
find the
the
Agrex
Narwhal.
Earthshade, which is what I typically use, so we used Vallejo Smoky ink and some airbrush flow medium to get that sinking nicely into the recesses, and this did the trick perfectly. Now that these pieces were painted, I could go to the
Yeah, you get
joy
the nice
of
non-zenithal
assembling
on
this
every single
model.
panel.
And
It
I
really
have to
helps
say, a
illuminate
shout
big
out to
panels like
Hagear's
this.
printer here. One of the features that they talk about is dimensional accuracy. And something I noticed about this print is all the pieces were the shape and size they were supposed to be. All the pieces fit in snugly. Everything was just nice.
Oh, no shrinkage or anything.
There wasn't
Many
shrinkage.
hands
Like,
make
as you can
light-
see,
light
these
work.
fit neatly. I'm not like they're firm, but that's how they're intended to be. I didn't have to bend anything, warp anything, or break anything. They all just slotted together. I'm so used to like shrinking or warpage with 3D prints that it was a real pleasure to have that with this.
Yeah, the little metal bit bobs that they sort of all have, which sort of defy any sort of aesthetic reason. But yeah, they always seem to be painted a metallic color. Someone will let us know exactly.
These two Tau women are drift compatible. It's a little Pacific Rim reference there for you.
Solid.
So an accent color to my Sakura Tau is this nice pink. So the lenses and the tips of the missiles, as well as a couple of little markings over the vehicle, were painted in red and highlighted up through pink to a nice white dot highlight. And then the lenses were covered in a gloss varnish to make them nice and shiny. The pink on most of my Tau Sakura actually is like the cloth string for their plated armor. So obviously this mechanical model didn't have that. So we had to find a different place. And I love your thought that the missiles are
no
like
shrinkage or anything.
cherry blossom petals falling into the sky. That's really cool.
Sorry, it's raining, so if this is really loud, hey, Australian winter, it rains all the time. I thought it would be really cool to print these in transparent resin, so I'm going to change the resin on this Hagear's printer. I'm going to print all those special effects in clear resin, but not only that, there's also a glass canopy, so we're going to be able to see into the cockpit of this model with the two pilots. I've got some ideas for what to do with that later. But I've got to change the resin.
Strong and vibrant glow
Let's just see the process of doing that with this printer. You ready?
Plugged in. So I'm going to go for a strong OSL effect in here, using some contrast and then a little bit
You
of
got to push it down more. Whoops. That's it. Good stuff. That'll now fill.
Solid.
And I can set the printer on. I'll come back in about 10 minutes when this is filled up and we'll get going. The transparent print is done and I'm super excited to see what the Hagear's has done. Historically, I've tried transparent resin printing before and it's always a little bit hit and miss. So let's see. Whoa. That is like crystal clear.
Yeah, you had this
I'm going
pink
to wash this
accent
up and
on,
we'll see
like,
how it comes up
little
after it's
bits
all
of the
clean.
armor on
I'm
the
not
other
sure that
models,
this
but
is
here,
legal
going as the
with
little
3D
missile
printing.
heads. It really looks like little cherry
It's
blossom
something
buds.
I
It's
love
kinda cool.
about this printer is these little holes in the bed allow you to really easily and gently, without damaging anything, just find a spot to get the spatula in and you can, without even taking off the bed, super cleanly,
They're going to blossom and they're
you
going
don't
to
want to
make
break your
Tau's
print.
day.
Just remove your print from the print head. And then as long as nothing's failed, you can just kind of reprint if you're lazy like me. It's super easy to use and not having to deal with re-leveling this build plate every time you take it off is amazing. You can take it off super easily. You just pop this up and it slides out. Not having to like play with screws and stuff is fantastic. But this is looking really crisp. Can't wait to wash it and see how it comes up. Time to wiggle. This will clean up nicely and I'll be able to just pop the top and grab what I need.
So with the transparent resin washed and cleaned up, I could fit that on nicely and it works a treat. To get it extra crispy, I also put a bit of gloss varnish on it and am really happy with the results. And with the legs of the model assembled, I could also set about finishing up this base. And to finish up the base, it means tufts, laser cut plants, and some lovely sakura petal flock scatter that I got in Japan. And then a final touch of some snow effects. Painting transparent resin, there's a lot of techniques or different thoughts of what you could do. For mine, I wanted these to be nice blue Tau energy effects. So rather than going for the blooming bright reds with dark cloudy grays, I actually did a gentle gradient using acrylic inks, going with a smoky black down at the base and then blending through with some really nice aqua blues towards the tip of the missile. Now obviously with transparent resin, getting a strong color is difficult. So in the areas where the actual source of the energy blast would be, I painted those with acrylic paints. And I think this blend between acrylic painted areas and the transparent resin makes for a fantastic gradient and makes it feel really real. And with all these transparent resin effects done, I could glue them onto the model and we can check it out with our final reveals. We'd like to give a big thank you to our patrons. It is thanks to you that we can make 2 videos a week, and we love having you along for the ride. If you'd love to see more Tau Sakura, let us know in the patron Discord, everyone. You know we listen to you and we love you, so we want to see that shout out. Or if you want to see desperately Mari finally get to paint some Tyranids, well, 10th edition is almost here, and you just might get lucky.
Woo! Team Tyranids!
And we also wanted to give one more thank you to Hey Gears and their new printer, the Ultracraft Reflex. If you're a fan of 3D printing, but not a fan of the messy hobby side of it, this printer is a great printer for you. It really brings ease of use and professionalism to the home hobby workbench. Check out the links in the description and go have a look at what Hey Gears have to offer. And a quick thank you to Piper from Piper Makes for sending us the model. I think the proof is in the pudding with this model of just how good 3D printing has gotten.
All right, everyone, I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's been great to revisit the Sakura Tau, and I will be coming back to them soon. A special shout out to Piper Makes for sending us all the files for the Narwhal. I absolutely love this model and I'm so glad to have got to build it. Also like to give a big thank you to Hey Gears. Please check out their 3D printer. The links are in the description. It's been a real pleasure working with something that felt like a professional machine. 3D printing can be a pretty messy and complicated hobby, and if you're more interested in getting great results than you are tinkering with machines, the Ultracraft Reflex is a super professional machine that made the process really easy for me. So if you love the Sakura Tau and the theme, I'm excited to share with you that soon we'll be making some cool bits. That's right, I'll be making a pack of bits so you can make your own Sakura Tau available in a coming video. Until then, why don't you grab yourself a 3D printer and start making an army of your own. Until the next one.